Who is Core Technology Company? What does it specialise in and what does it produce? Core has been in business since 1991 and we specialise in creating custom analytical instruments for universities and institutes all over the world. Our speciality is mass spectrometry. My name is Dr. Frazer Riech. I graduated from Manchester University in the UK with a PhD in material science and physics. Time of flight has really grown over the last several decades, and now we can establish the mass of the molecules, the charged molecules, to a very high degree of accuracy. And this mass accuracy is very important in being able to specify what molecule you've detected. What do we estimate are the concentrations of the chlorine dioxide if somebody was wearing a badge? So as I've said, we know that if a person lived in a 6-litre jar, if their life was lived in a 6-litre jar, then we would be slightly above the constant exposure limit and less than the short-term exposure limit. But a person wearing a badge is not living in a 6-litre jar. They're living even in a room that's still, there's a huge volume around them. And if they start to move around, which is of course what most people do, then the exchange of air is very high. So I think we can extrapolate reasonably confidently and say that even if a person was sat still all day long in a room, the concentrations will be well below the short-term and long-term exposure limits, just by virtue of the volume dilution that the badge is emitting into. So is it possible to make a statement about the release rate from the badges of the chlorine dioxide and whether that's safe or not? So I'm going to just go back to the observation that in a 6-litre jar, we are producing approximately 0.225 parts per million per hour in that jar. That's higher than the long-term exposure limit. So if you lived in a 6-litre jar, it would not be a safe environment. However, human beings do not live in 6-litre jars. They work in large offices and they often move around. And so you can deduce for yourself that as the volume increases, the concentration falls as the cube law of the ratio of volumes.